All right. In June 2022, 2026, New York PM session stream. Let's go straight to the analysis, pre-market analysis for the PM session. This is the daily candle so far. Very indecisive candle. We came a lot from the high, basically to the opening price so far. Without touching or tapping into the buy side liquidity up there. Trading down into the current new week opening up and below it, and into the previous week's new week opening up. But we are hanging around the high of that inefficiency right here. Consolidation since that morning session run. Consolidation through the lunch, and now we are going into the PM session. All of the buy side liquidity near term rests above the 1145 high, and lots of inefficiencies above. Fun fact, this inversion fair value gap that I noted at the end of the 10 to 11 silver bullet worked as inversion fair value gap and delivered exactly to this little inefficiency here, which was my trade idea for that time. But yeah, it didn't offer me that particular setup during the time I wanted to see it happening. All right. So yeah, I'm not changing my bias. I'm not shifting my bias. I still think, or I still believe that that's the draw ultimately for the price to see it work higher, and that's the idea that I will be using going forward into the PM session. I want to note the relatively cool lows in here that are pretty smooth. I mean, overall, we are inside this consolidation, larger range, larger consolidation. And yeah, to engage this anyhow well, I would really like to see those relatively lows being stopped into first and then rejected. So that's kind of like one of the ideas that I would entertain going into this session. We'll see, but yeah, the fact that the lunch hour was pretty much a consolidation like this, I'm having a little bit of hope that the PM session will deliver something outside of this consolidation. We'll see how it goes, but nonetheless, that's something I would like. Nasdaq, similar idea. I still wouldn't give way on potential upside on it yet, but yeah, near term the relatively highest buy side liquidity here, way too smooth and way too obvious as a potential draw on the upside for the PM session here. So yeah, that's something to watch, but still I kind of like prefer the ES to bulk up a little bit more here, so we'll see. We'll definitely see. But yeah, as long as we are inside of this range, inside of this low to high consolidation, that's a little bit tricky in my opinion to engage, unless we would make some either nice displacement or stop below those lows and then reject aggressively. But yeah, regardless, that's something that I will be watching. What will be in play actually. Right, I mean, currently we have relative equal highs and relative equal lows at the same time being stacked. This looks like a larger bear flag, this impulse lower and then consolidation. Looks like a bear flag. Yeah, ultimately I'm thinking here is the draw or a potential likely draw. Near term at least. And we'll see. I like how the hourly bodies are respecting the half of this. That's somewhat bullish in my mind. Let's see if we can get some move out of this. There is some measure of SMT divergence on the lows between ES and Nasdaq here. Clearly, we can see that the lows here are gravitating more to the downside versus the lows here gravitating more to the upside. At the same time. I like this buy sell liquidity a lot here. All right, 1.5 minutes left until 2 p.m. and the silver bullet for the PM session will start. My initial interest and idea is this high near term and potentially expansion above it towards these inefficiencies here and or ultimately the buy sell liquidity here. Is that reasonable for this PM session itself? I don't know, maybe that's a little bit too much of a range, taking into consideration that we are pretty light on any news for today. Tomorrow we have some PMI medium impact, Wednesday nothing, Thursday 8:30. So Thursday is probably like the best one calendar wise. So yeah, rather focusing on smaller trades, but nonetheless I don't need that ultimate draw to be reached. As far as I can get some portion of range, aiming even for this high, that's pretty decent, I would say. So yeah, 2 p.m. started, and here we are. Here we are. So yeah, I mean, generally, I would be glad to see those radical lows being taken out here. That would be pretty interesting if we could see that. Yeah, currently price is inside of this range, going sideways. Radical highs are in, radical lows are in, and I'm just watching which side is going to be attacked first. Because I'm overall still more bullish, I'd prefer to see the lows being taken out first, and that would be more constructive for me looking or seeking a trade that actually could deliver something. All right, looks like we are heading towards those stratifical lows so far. So I'm looking forward to see that happen and just make these stratifical lows that are very smooth. Just make them jagged, disrupt the sell side liquidity, and then potentially some longs might be in play. At least that's the preferred outcome at this moment. All right. So I mean, as long as we are just banging around inside of this range, I'm not that interested in doing anything with it. Any bullish for value gap without taking out the sell side liquidity here feels a little bit suspect. So yeah, all of this feels low key, low probability at this moment. So I'm just watching and waiting price to trade outside of this range. Yeah, nothing in here I can key off of. All right, so it failed to trade to the lower quadrant of the current new week opening up. And it's showing now a large range rejection away from it. So that might be promising in terms of potentially delivering towards the radical lows first. Let's see, let's watch. I'm still tricky, but if you think about it, we failed to reach the consecutive encroachment here. We left. Then we came back. We failed to reach the lower quadrant. We left. Initially, at least. So if it can maintain that weakness near term, those radical lows should be quite reasonable. But still, as long as we are inside this range just banging around, it's very, very difficult to navigate an entry inside of it with a reasonable stop loss that makes sense and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess it is what it is. Nasdaq kind of trying to push towards the buy side here. Hmm. So yeah, I mean, technically, we have a potential bullish reclaimed fair value gap here. That should provide a measure of support for price if we come back into it, especially before taking out the buy side here. But yeah, that's assuming a lot. And yeah, I'm not comfortable calling a market when it's like this. I do like higher. I do want to see higher. Overall. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much I can do with this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the buy side on ES here is, wow, it's so clean. But the sell side isn't that, I mean, it isn't much worse too, right? But yeah, clearly it's trying to tap into the buy side at the moment. And taking out the buy side liquidity first isn't necessarily in my playbook. That's not necessarily what I want to see. It still didn't happen yet. So I mean, it's open, right? But generally, if I'm bullish, I would like to see lows being taken out first, then run on the buy side. Unless we have those radical highs like this, we tap above them very shallowly, then reject aggressively lower, then that's like a loaded deal in terms of being bullish. But let's see, we got the buy side nonetheless. We just taken that out, and that buy side was or is being taken out first. Nice displacement above it. That's already quite significant. Quite significant of a run. Well. I'm a little bit concerned. Let's see if that will maintain an open inefficiency here, going through the consecutive encroachment of this new week opening up there. Well, I mean, it's hard to trust into this as a basic because we had no serious stop run earlier. So that's quite a significant issue there. Otherwise, this would be a nice potential bullish silver bullet to aim for that high. Stop loss below this 219 candle low, and that should make the work then. But I don't know. I don't like this whole endeavor here. We already are wicking below it quite aggressively. Clearly there is some measure of order flow being placed. We wicked below the consecutive encroachment of this, but we closed right above it. And the consecutive encroachment of this smaller fair value gap is basically the same price as this one. So initial respect there was shown. I don't know. I mean, I like it higher. I prefer it go higher. That's for sure. But at the same time, I feel like I'm having a little bit of conflicting analysis too. In terms of how far on the downside could it still trade and be okay, right? For the upside. And trying to define that ain't that easy though. I like the 1149 to act as a potential bullish inversion for value gap and send price higher. But yeah, at the same time, it's pretty tough call to be made. So yeah, I mean, thinking in terms of the narrative, we started at the 1:30 p.m. We consolidated, Ratifical lows, Ratifical highs. Eventually, price got to run the buy sell liquidity first, Ratifical highs, and we did a pop with this fair value gap higher, but the fair value gap was already not respected as a bullish one. We are already closing below it, while we left those Ratifical lows intact, right? So any breakout longs and or shorts that were having stop losses above those Ratifical highs, trusting that it's resistance, got basically triggered, and breakouts are triggered in, shorts potentially stopped out. Now price is starting to speed up, scream lower, right? And theoretically, moving or taking it way down to clear those Ratifical lows here would stop out any longs and trigger shorts on the breakout, which would technically set up a perfect scenario, perfect condition for the price to actually move higher strongly and aggressively in that case or in that regard. So yeah, but if that's the case, I would still need to allow to run those Ratifical lows, but I don't know if that's actually something that I could rely on to be delivered during this time specifically. Well, I mean, so far we have this bullish fair value gap that failed to offer any bullishness, and we have a bearish fair value gap being followed. So as long as we are below those two, I guess these lows are still maybe possible. If you would start going above those two inefficiencies on a closing basis, that would be a measure of strength being shown inside the order flow near term, I believe. So yeah, that's kind of open. Yeah, I mean, so that's what I mean. So it's screaming higher here now. off of this bullish reclaimed fair value gap, off of the low of this larger inversion, potentially inversing even this. Then yeah, assuming using a limit order on this bullish inversion fair value gap there, potentially. Uh, 49. 44. Something like this would need to be played using this 226 as a potential bullish fair value gap, bullish inversion fair value gap. With this busy stop loss 5 handles lower, targeting the buy side here and ahead of it. Well, I mean, I kind of like the idea overall. Price is tapping into it here. I'm just not certain. All right, this trade like this into it, that's exactly what I was looking for in terms of like a tail. So yeah, I want to I want to be careful nonetheless. All right, so we're trading off of this 1 minute bearish inversion here nicely. So I would really like to see price repel or propel lower out of it. Ideally attacking those lows here. Well, I mean, it's taking way too much time in here again, kinda. Trust the price action very well, leaving some relatively lows near term. Nasdaq making slightly lows here, so maybe not even that much. Maybe it's kind of similar. Well, it's been very slow. Very slow session though. Not really showing uh, that much in terms of intel that it wants to leave this range. Anyhow, we've taken the buys at relative equal highs, didn't show much of a continuation at all. We left a measure of relative equal highs, yes. Price is sinking lower slightly near term, and we still have those relative equal lows that we could potentially seek as a means of stopping anyone that was long and or tripping anyone that wants to be a breakout seller below those relative equal lows. And that's kind of like the idea or scenario that seems to be somewhat possible still. Yeah, I mean, around 20 minutes left for this PM session, Silver Bullet. So yeah, currently it looks like the weight is on the downside here, that it might want to seek that. Potentially. Alright, so at this moment, some speed towards those relatively lows would be welcome. Stabbing into that. And maybe if you can see that, it could offer a last chance for this PM session to reverse and actually start seeking this buy side liquidity here above the 1145 high. At least that's something that I'm thinking about at this moment. Disturbing this sell side liquidity into rejection, into potential run higher would be potentially ideal. Yeah, there is not much time left for this hour of trading. I'm watching whether it forms a CB here. Not quite necessarily, because it balanced it out. There's only a volume imbalance there. All right, so we traded into this volume imbalance. Bodies respected it perfectly. And I would expect a nice run towards those relative lows here off of that. And working as a premium array. Also overlapping with the low of this current new week opening up. Just send it and run the sell side liquidity out. Also, I would expect that it should happen rather quickly. If it's going to happen at all, it should be rather a quick run. Yeah. So 2:50 p.m. to 3:10 p.m. macro is pretty much starting in a couple of seconds. And that would be the last chance in terms of the time element to potentially move outside of this range. Yeah, volume balance is flexible. It can allow or permit a little bit of moho above it. In that regard, the bodies are staying inside of it, so that's rather good anyway. And now it should attack the relatively low sell side liquidity quite easily or quite aggressively even, I would say. All right, I like the large candles here. I like speeding up towards the sell side. It's very clean and very obvious, so it should be pretty much no problem or no issue to get there. All right, so it's stretching towards those lows nicely. And there we go, we got the run on the sell side liquidity off of that little volume imbalance there. So definitely that was a smooth, nice little run in here, disturbing the sell side. But again, my opportunity, or I'm still trying to fish for an opportunity to seek the buy side liquidity here potentially. And if that's the case, now I'm watching this a large down candle, whether we can have a SIBI, sell side imbalance price inefficiency, being formed here, because that would be the last inefficiency before taking out the sell side liquidity here, which will make it a likely or high probability inversion for value gap. Clearly we have a measure of SMT on the lows between ES and Nasdaq. Nasdaq is not even close to the 1245 low, versus ES just smashing right on through them. There you go. We got the inefficiency right here. So this one is, in my mind, a potential bullish inversion for value gap that could send us higher, potentially, if we can go above it. So yeah, let me frame how would that look like, potentially using the high. Something like this I would be fairly interested in. So if we can close above this inversion for value gap, any return back into it would be a potential long scenario in my mind, to send us back inside of this new week opening up, and potentially, or ideally aiming or seeking this buy side liquidity pool here, because that's where all the buy side will be at the moment, but not even requiring that would be, or that would still lend well. So let's see. We have still a few more minutes for this silver bullet hour, for the PM session. Can we go above it with energy and close above it? I don't know, but if we do, then that's the idea that I have in mind. So yeah, sell liquidity was being purged and absorbed nicely here. Beautiful inversion for bullish inversion for value gap, potential one, waiting to go above it and offer the potential entry long. But yeah, definitely we are running low on time, so it if it wants to deliver, it needs to do it quickly. Lower low is nice to see. If we can manage to pull off energetic run higher now. All right, so we just we are just entering the last hour silver bullet basically for today. And yeah, the idea stays as it is. Well, it disconnected me for some reason. I guess whatever. But yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't get a grasp for the PM session here, or I didn't got what I was potentially looking for initially. It did deliver a nice run lower here from this volume balance, especially. That was pretty nice after all. But this long setup was more of something that I was looking for. Potentially trade on. Versus going shorts here. But yeah, that was quite nice after all. All right, so basically continuing the idea into the last hour silver bullet, if we could see a close above this inefficiency here, I would expect to use it as a bullish inversion for value gap to send price higher. So yeah, I'm still fishing for this bullish revival gap here at 2:52 p.m. as we are going into the last hour silver bullet. Um, but yeah, giving it just a couple more minutes. If it doesn't go above it, then I will just cut the bait, and that will be it, unless. Three lower lows in here, sell side being taken out there. Yeah, looks like we are really like losing ground and extending to the downside in the near term. Nasdaq still not matching the lows with ES. 3 times lower lows, relative equal lows taken, and we have this inefficiency here. And that could act as a potential bullish inversion for Y gap also. So yeah, I mean the idea was that this is a likely drawn equity on the upside, this high, but we had the relative equal lows that were smooth. Now the smooth level was made clearly jagged. One sharp low, second low, third low. So 3 times lower below those relative equal lows. This was smooth. That was made jagged. Sharks were here. So now where is the counterparty liquidity for it? It's here. It's above this high and this high. They are relatively equal too. Uh, Yeah, if we could see a closure above it here, come back into it, I would expect a return back inside of this range. That's quite nice up candle here. Let's see if we can close above it and then come back into it. Second opportunity here. All right, we close above it. This is the bullish inversion for value gap. Potentially 3 lower lows, shouldn't go lower. Let's see if I can get it here. All right, so it tapped me in. And now we should seek liquidity above this short-term high here, this high, and ultimately above this buy set up there. This is the last hour silver bullet. All right, so near term, I would like to see price climb above this 252 PM CB. All right, near term, I like the fact that we couldn't even lay a body inside of this inversion for value gap from 307. We tapped into it once and twice, but no body was laid inside of it. That's good. And now I want to see quickly go above this 252 bearish for value gap and basically inverse that. And seek to come back inside of this down range. And yeah, this was basically the idea that I was looking for to see develop during the 2 to 3 p.m. But it didn't do that. It set it up the whole framework into the last hour silver bullet. So that's why I'm executing on that. So I'm basically using the same idea that I would use during the PM session 2 to 3 if it was presented by that time. Because it wasn't, I didn't use that. I couldn't use that because it wasn't there. But yeah, because it offered this going into the last hour of trading, that's why I'm in it. Right now, strong return back into this inversion for value gap. So now that's key to see whether it's good or bad. It should repel price aggressively higher off of it. relative equal highs are being engineered. These lows were made jagged already many times. No reason to attack this low unless it's actually going way lower, potentially lower. So far we traded to around consecutive encroachment with the wick, but the body closed at the high of this bullish inversion for value gap. That's very good. That's a signature I like to see. Right, we either will be repelling the price quickly away from it now, or it becomes pretty problematic. So we'll see. So far we couldn't even reach the low of that inversion for value gap. That's good. Problem is we spent already like enough time inside of it, so it needs to leave it to the upside if it's good. It needs to leave it quickly and with large range, because we dropped into it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles already. All right, so now trading outside of this bullish inversion for value gap, and that's a wild card at this moment. There is a chance that we will snap back inside of it still, and that was just a moho, and we'll rip higher aggressively. But if that's the case, it needs to happen very quickly. We did even close below it, So now the next candle is key. If we can see a large range to the upside, forget about it, and it should deliver higher. But if we don't see that, probabilities fall off significantly, and that will be no good. We do have a long wick in here, so allowing to trade into it is or should be like permissible, but sensitivity should be seen almost immediately. Well, that's looking really problematic at the moment, and yeah, this week is the last line of defense. Obviously, the stop loss permits or allows for a moho like this. It's not preferred to be seen, but it allows for it. So if it's anyhow good, it should react around here. If not, then I'm straight up uh, wrong / offside, and then the stop loss is 100% deserved in that regard. So let's see. So far we are seeing some measure of reaction off of the upper quadrant of that week, which is at least a little bit promising, because we can't even reach the consecutive encroachment, which is good. That's more of a bullish signature, but we need to see a serious displacement higher out of it, right? It can't be only one up candle and that's it. It needs to protract a measure of displacement to the upside, and only then I would be back comfortable with this position, uh, delivering well. Right, so right now this CB that was inversed into a bullish inversion for value gap, we trade outside of it into this week, so we need to quickly go above it on a closing basis to kind of like confirm bullish order flow coming into this market and then we should seek the buy side up there, right? This is still last hour of trading, so a lot can happen, definitely. So yeah, the game is still on until the stop loss isn't hit. But yeah, just measuring how the probabilities are going to play out. I like this displacement. That's actually very, very welcome at this moment. That was actually needed after we trade to the upper quadrant of this week. Nice large range to the upside. Now I'm looking to close above this bullish inversion for value gap as we did here, and preferably we do not close below it again at this point. So we can touch down into it, but it should repel price higher aggressively towards those relative equal highs buy side near term, and then potentially inverse this 252 bearish fair value gap and use it potentially as a bullish inversion fair value gap after we clear the buy side here and continue to trade back into this current new week opening up where my limit order resides. That's like the idea behind it, and we'll see. This is the break-even price. If it goes there, I will move the stop loss to break even. Currently, we are trading back into this bullish inversion for value gap. It should repel price quickly away. We already did a moho below it, so it should strictly respect the upper half and be strongly bullish at the moment. If we lose it again, then I really don't like the price action. Then I really don't like the current price action. So yeah, I mean, this trade felt pretty easy in the beginning, but then as time went by, it started to feel more and more difficult to deliver. Again, we are leaving this inversion for value gap to the downside. That's completely not what I wanted to see at the time. The body stayed inside of it, yet we opened below it. Hmm. It's very tricky within the delivery here. It's very tricky. And and I don't know. I'm losing my confidence in it, as price is not following or not doing what I would ideally like to see. It did bounced here at the last chance. It does another mojo here that I don't necessarily like, but I'm giving it a chance to snap quickly back into it. And Nasdaq is actually holding better in here. Nasdaq actually made a higher high there where ES failed. So Nasdaq is actually pushing nicer here. I would assume ES should follow, right? ES should follow that. For some reason, it's not doing that yet. So that might be a measure of manipulation here. So yeah. I mean, unless, let's see. I mean, the stop loss is in place, the take profit is in place. Let's not make it harder than it needs to be. I mean, at this moment, the market will either deliver or not. And yeah, regardless of what happens. And I guess that will be a lesson in itself. So right, so approaching this week one more time. it repelled price once here, therefore I'm reasonably expect to see it do that second time, and that's probably like the last chance for today. That's probably like the last chance for today, and yeah, consecutive encroachment, admittedly not looking very well. Not looking very well. I mean, the stop loss is like within reach, so like last chance, last line of defense here. All right, so I'm out. It got me out here. Interesting, nonetheless interesting. But yeah, it is what it is. Mm, I don't know. I wouldn't be too surprised if it just swept this little low here and still delivered the buy side up there into the market on close. I wouldn't be too surprised if that's the case. Yeah, S&T on the lows here with Nasdaq viewing this as an additional stop hunt here. If we could go above those inversion for value gaps, yeah, maybe. But yeah, still. Well, I don't know. I felt like that was a reasonable attempt. I like the idea. But yeah, maybe I was just completely wrong about the direction and the draw. Well. Yeah, I'm kind of like still watching just because or just in case. Because yeah, we've taken this short-term low here very shallowly. And if we could climb above this bullish inversion for value gap on a closing basis, in my opinion, that would be like a reasonable attempt to seek the buy side then with the added benefit of a stop hunt additional stop hunt here. That should be then an easy run higher. Obviously I cannot trade that anymore, but something to watch and study that might be interesting. Either way, I'll be back there tomorrow, London open session, and we'll see what we get there. Well. Yeah, I was one W ahead of passing this phase one, and I wouldn't say I forced it. I like the setup, I like the idea here nonetheless. The fact that it got a little bit wonky like here and came one more time for this low for a stop run. Yeah, I don't know. If it delivers higher to the buy side, then yeah, I wouldn't be like upset about it. If it keeps on going lower, then yeah, I was just wrong. So not much I can do about it. And good that I got stopped out then. But yeah. Let's see. I mean, still, the week just begun, so a little bit more time to recoup the loss and then potentially have another try on passing the whole endeavor. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching and see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.